Hello everyone, welcome to EduTap and welcome Vignesh on our channel and thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me here.
So guys, as you know, this interview is about the grade B officers that have been selected, those have been selected in RBI this year. So Vignesh is one such star student who is now selected the officer. So let's congratulate him. Many congratulations to you, Vignesh, on this achievement of yours.
Thank you so much.
Now, before we proceed to the strategy discussion, the ups and downs of his journey, his preparation, I would just like to give students, the viewers of this video, a brief background of yours, okay, which they will find very interesting. So, guys, Vignesh is currently working with PFRDA as grade A officer. He got selected in PFRDA this year itself. Prior to that, he has completed engineering from NIT Trichy. He hails from Chennai. And then he prepared for UPSC, appeared in mains, appeared in the interview of foreign services, right? Forest services. He appeared in the interview. He also cleared NABARD. This was his second attempt at RBI and now selected in RBI also. So this, congratulations for RBI is on one side, and all the things that you have cleared in this journey are also we cannot ignore, Vignesh. So your hard work is there, which is actually evident from your selections, right? So please tell us about yourself more.
So as you had already said, 2017, I had finished my education from NIT Trichy. I worked for a year with Siemens. And post that, I started my civil services preparation. And so my interest towards preparing for civil services was not only to get into administration, but to get into policy making area. And I had also generated interest in economics. So with that, I understood there were other opportunities with respect to the regulatory bodies, which I could get into and explore the same opportunities that I was expecting from civil services. So I started giving other exams. Started with RBI in 2018. I had written the mains, and post that I got the confidence that I can prepare in a shorter span of time, and I can try to get selected in those. So as it went on parallelly, my preparation for civil services and my preparation for NABARD, RBI, and also SEBI in between. So it went on parallelly. I'm quite happy that all of them came through in a streak. So one after the other, things were getting clear. I was getting selected in the different exams. So it just gave me the confidence that whatever strategy I was working with, it was giving me the fruits.
Right. So as you said that what you expected from civil services, you started preparation of these examinations with the same thing in mind, right? So what I think is that, yes, this job will also give you all such opportunities, right? But bright students, candidates like you can also have further opportunities what they would think is job, right? Achha, Vignesh, tell me one thing, because you've cleared NABARD, RBI, and even PFRDA. So what is that one thing or few things you think that you have done that brought you to this stage, that you could clear not only one, but 3 different examinations?
Ma'am, one thing is, whatever preparation that I did, I believe it was suitable for prelims, mains, and interview. So the basic foundation that I laid was probably strong. So one is with respect to the newspapers, which I've been an avid reader from a pretty young age. So that keeps me abreasted with whatever is happening around me. In be it in mains or be it in interview, that's what is expected out of you, that you are aware of things, and even the general knowledge as such. So when you're going into the exam, the newspapers articles that you have read helps you out in different ways. The questions you may not know them directly, but then some logical connection that you can bring about and answer them. So that is one. And second, all these exams are based on the economic concepts and financial concepts, and that's NABARD may have been with respect to agriculture. That's a little different, but the base is on economics and finance. So when you lay the foundation right, wherein you have read the basics and you're quite strong on that, then it gives you the confidence to learn any further. So I believe these two worked in my favor. And post that, the mindset that I had that, I can prepare and give a good attempt, even if I do not have the requisite time for that exam. Like someone may be preparing for 3 months, 4 months at a stretch just for exclusively for this, but I might have just about 3 weeks to 4 weeks to do that. But still, the positive approach that I had, that yeah, I can clear it with this preparation, and that helped me strategize it in such a way that I use that time efficient.
Very good points you have made. That first of all, that you should have the understanding, right? The current affairs of the magazine, as you said, the foundation, whatever you are covering, the foundation should be laid right for the preparation. For you, you said newspapers provided that thing. Secondly, what I could understand is that you focused on the integrated approach rather than thinking that let me just focus on phase 1 of this exam. You try to integrate the preparation of phase 1, phase 2, like till interview, everything which is required in all stages. You did that.
Yes.
And of course, the right mindset. That is, I think, we said in the last, but it is the first thing I would say, that you should have that mindset. I have to do it. I can do it. That confidence, right? And you are the example. Okay. And one more thing, very interesting question that I have. See, NABARD, RBI, I'm sure PFRD also, they have common subjects. Okay, all these examinations, like quant reasoning you have to do, current affairs you have to do, English is also there, but subjects like agriculture is there in NABARD, it's not required in RBI, right? Current affairs is one thing, but core agriculture part, let's say. Then similarly, FM is here in RBI. So how did you manage these subjects which were exclusive of that particular examination?
So it depends on how you're strategizing and allocating your time. So what I did was that strengthened all the common areas initially. I was giving exams regularly, and that helped me out in that way, because in prelims, it's mostly common. Quant, reasoning, English, maybe a few additions, GK is common, and a few additions in terms of computer science comes in and out. RBA is the same thing, quant, reasoning, English, and GK. So these things are common. So prelims, a strong preparation initially will give you that strategy that, okay, these are the sources that I'm going to refer to. And if I'm going to give these test series and revise them, I'm going to make it through the cutoff. So that confidence was good enough for prelims as I was giving the exams regularly. But when it comes to mains, as I had already said, the foundation with respect to economics was strong. So I would not give more time for economics when I was preparing. Or English was also, I was confident with respect to the English descriptive. So my preparation with respect to these two would just be about practicing them only with respect to test series and figuring out where I was lacking and revise only those areas. Whereas with respect to ARD in terms of NABARD or finance and management, these were new subjects. So as you were asking, what did I do for ARD was to shortlist the materials that I would be reading. So I had taken for ARD in NABARD, I had taken EduTab's material and some of the test series. So these two I revised. I saw if my marks were improving in the test series, if I required some other lectures to see. And once the marks, I was simultaneously doing that. I was reading the subject and I was testing it out. So similar with RBI for finance and management, I read the basics. I had done a course with IIM Bangalore while I suppose in college or just after that with respect to finance and accounts. So I was familiar with the terms, and there's one finance and management basic book that's always recommended. I'm not getting the name right now. So that's a huge book, but I had prepared that for my 2018.
LM Prasad, is it?
LM Prasad, I suppose so. Maybe I can check it and add it in the comment later on. So I'd gone through that book and the sample questions in 2018 RBI mains, but it did not get reflected to that extent in the mains question paper. So I understood that I should not spend so much time in areas that may not be reflecting the paper, and focus only on the understanding the concepts, and that would enable me to answer the questions in the RBI mains. So that was my approach. And for finance and management, then I took out what are the basic topics that would definitely be asked based on the previous year analysis and stuff, and shortlisted those topics, revised those topics, solved the papers, and spent about, I would say, about 50% of my time on those subjects.
Okay, so 2 points that I could gauge were that first, you should, for the students who are, because you cannot, it is even not recommended that let's say you're preparing for RBI. If you want to prepare for it, that you are very clear that I'll go in RBI or no other organization, then it is fine. But if you are going for other such organizations like SEBI, be it there, NABARD, PFRDA, then you are expected, you will appear in all these examinations. So make the common area, shortlist the common area, common subjects, make those strong so that you don't have to prepare at least them again and again. You know that, okay, I am good in these subjects, so prepare them well. Then you said that exclusive subjects, then they're also what did you say, restricted approach, rather than reading everything based on the analysis of the previous exams. What is the requirement of that exam? Based on that, the topics, the things should be covered separately. And that obviously hard work is required. You cannot say, "Nahi, I will not read this." That you have to.
Yeah. So it's quite difficult to restrict yourself, figure out which are the areas, which are the topics that would most probably be reflected, but that would take some time. But once you realize that, then you have the confidence that, yeah, with this, by preparing for this, I would be able to give a good shot. So that's by maybe by looking at the previous toppers videos, or what are the materials that they refer to, or by giving the test series, because test series do that job for you. So they look at the analysis of the previous year questions, and then they prepare the next year's question papers. So that helps you figure out which direction that you have to move towards.
Previous year analysis is very important, I would say, right? Because you cannot just open the book and start reading that I am preparing for this exam, because you might be missing out on the things that are required, and you would be covering the things which are probably very less important for the exam. Right.
So maybe just one example would help it be sorted out. So one was when SEBI had released their notification in 2018. I saw the syllabus and I thought, this is not possible for me, and I did not apply. But when the question paper was out, when the people had attempted the question paper, and then they came out and said they had just tested on the basics, right? So even in 2020, 2021, when the SEBI paper was out, even then I had prepared for it, but clashed with another exam, so I couldn't write. But the similar reflection was that you study finance and accounts extensively, but the questions were on the basic concepts.
In phase one, SEBI, yes, they were. No one was expecting such a basic paper. It was basic.
So yeah, so you just have to have the confidence that you can prepare for that and go with that confidence.
Right. So this must give a boost to many students coming from you who has cleared multiple examinations, right? Okay. So Vignesh, let's understand your sources for the common subjects. Let's say for every other competitive examination has these things: quant, reasoning, English, GK, right? Current affairs we call, or the static part of GK. So would you share with us the sources? A newspaper, you have said that you should read it on a regular basis. On a regular basis, there should be any strict timeline for 6 months, 7 months I'll read, or you read it on a daily basis?
No, I read it on a regular basis. So maybe that people might feel that it might not reflect on GK because they just ask for about 4 to 6 months. I still see that sometimes they go beyond that and ask some historical data on that. But for mains, especially since NABARD, RBI have moved towards descriptive, unless you have a follow through about how the issues have evolved, it's not possible to just study and repeat it or replicate it on the paper on that day. Just with 2 months preparation, writing about 400, 600 words might become difficult. And there could be surprise questions also that you have not read, but on paper, you would have come across those terms.
Right.
So I would suggest one normal paper, which is Hindu or Indian Express, that and one economics papers. I would prefer a Liveman because it gives you analytical analysis on different issues. But Economic Times is also good, or Business Standard. One of these three for economics.
That students can start reading. Okay. And coming again to the sources for your QRE and GA, not only for RBI, as I said earlier, for all other exams also.
Okay. So it was quite common sources for all the exams with respect to the prelims paper. For GK, I was referring to if I had time for NABARD, I had referred to EduTab's material. So EduTab's material, and then giving the test series parallelly. that was the case. I was going through as much as possible. It's not possible to finish up all months, say ESI and FM or GK for the entire, because it goes into hundreds of pages. So you select maybe for 4 months, you look at those things, and for the rest, you rely on the test series itself. And I was also referring to select 250 news items that were being curated and placed by Practice Mock in their document called Bazooka. So that was a common thing that I was referring to all exams. So that 250 questions, 250 news items, I felt it was giving me more return on investment in terms of the time. About 30% of that I was seeing being reflected in the different exams. So I was stuck to that for GK. Now going to quant and reasoning. So these two are generally, it takes a lot of time if you're not into the groove of writing aptitude-based exams, and it takes time to pick it up. So for that, you need to figure out, I relied only on, say, YouTube videos for content reasoning, the types of questions that are asked in the exams, and then testing them out in the test series. So YouTube videos are the multiple playlists. So I shortlisted them based on, say, the exams, and seeing who was giving me better ideas on how to solve them in a shorter span of time, who was giving me better strategies and easier to understand. And I stuck to them. Every time before the exam, maybe about 2 weeks before, I used to revise, or 3 weeks before, I used to just go through some of the topics, revise them. There are some basics in terms of quant and reasoning that you would definitely have to practice beforehand. In terms of percentages in quant is a fundamental that would get applied across questions. So that I jotted down in a paper and practiced that, and I was made sure that I was confident and I remembered those things. And then figured out what are the topics in quant that are generally asked, say men and work, or profit and loss, simple interest. Then in prelims quant, you have the figuring out the number, missing number. All these, once you get to know that this is the pattern that's being asked, practice only those questions again. And with respect to reasoning, it's the puzzles that take a lot of time, but it's also gives you the best returns. So one tricky part in puzzle is figuring out which puzzle not to attend. When the number of variables increase, you better not to attend that. So that comes with practice. So in terms of reasoning, it's just practice, understanding the concept, and practicing more in it. So this was the way. English, to be honest, I was confident of my English, and that comes from me reading the newspapers. So what I've observed is mostly they take sentences or paragraphs out of newspapers or articles.
Right, that's right.
So even if you're not sure of your grammar, so you might ask me if you ask me to explain a grammar, I may not be able to explain that. But my sentence, when you give me a sentence and say if the sentence is right, I'll be able to figure out, yeah, this is grammatically wrong because it should be written, but in a particular way. That comes from having read a lot of content.
Right. So one keyword that I have taken from your phase 1 preparation, I would say, is practice. That coverage is one thing, right? Like for example, quant reasoning, you get to know the formulas, you get your basics right. Okay, like the topics you said, percentage, number series, basic things you have to get. But then you'll build up your preparation based on the practice of each and everything, right? And as you have told us the sources already, so I would like to ask the thing regarding practice. So you used mock tests for your practice of for every thing you used to do the mock test, or did you complete one thing, let's say quant topics you covered, and then you went on, chalo, let me take now one test?
No, I used to give the full mock test. So I used not go for section wise mostly, but in case if it was required, say just men and work, I was not at all scoring well, then I used to watch some videos, figure out what's the trick or the simple way to to get the answer. Then maybe a few questions on that. But I would always prefer giving the full mock test, even if I'm not prepared for a particular section, just to see what level I am in that section so that I can concentrate. So that it keeps on varying. When I see my GK marks going down, say if I give 2 tests continuously, if I see my 2 or 3 tests continuously, if I see GK going down, I'd give more time to that. And if I see my quant improving, then I'd reduce time on that and figure out only those areas which I was not able to answer in that paper, and then practice those. So maybe one one turning point that I saw with my quant reasoning was when I gave my RBI assistant exam. That was the start of having understood how to answer quantum reasoning, because they give you a very limited time, and you have to attend a lot of questions, and it requires you to mentally calculate a lot of them. So my preparation for that helped me out in knowing that, okay, I can, within that given time span, I'll be able to answer the questions in other exams.
Right.
So again, apart from giving test series, you should also give more exams within that time limit. So that gives you a practice. Even if you're not wanting to go to that particular job, you don't want to, but still giving that exam will give you that confidence that, yeah, I can give it in the exam scenario, I'll be able to answer it.
Right, because the exam pressure is anyhow there. We cannot deny that, because you sit and practice at home, there is comfort. On the other hand, when you go to the exam center, there you see a lot of candidates, you have the timer running. So that giving multiple exams will give you a practice of that also, right? So Vignesh, one thing I wanted to know about this phase or quant reasoning, let's say, because newspapers reading is there, going on, current affairs preparation candidates will do 4 to 5 months, magazines or the sources should be covered. Rest you can refer to like videos, mock tests, as you said. English is again, we understand that practice you will do, and if you are reading newspaper, you will be doing fine, right? So let's say quant reasoning. If a student is, because RBI notification is not yet out, right? Many students are going to start their preparation for the next year cycle of RBI. Even NABARD has just phase 1 taken place. So that will also come, SEBI also. So if someone is starting right now, what would you suggest that they should start with the quant reasoning practice now, or they should first cover their subjects of phase 2 first and then come to phase 1, quant reasoning especially?
My suggestion on that would be that it goes on parallelly. So you cannot leave out one for the other, because phase 2 has a large portion that you may not be able to cover post the result of prelims. That's a mistake a lot of people do. That post prelims result I'll see and then I'll start preparing. That's not. It's a huge challenge to do that. So phase 2 has to start earlier itself, because that's more conceptual. And along with that, your prelims prep also should start. Maybe you just vary the time based on your level of prep. So at what level you are in, test that. So even if we see CAT books also, what they do is to test your level, and based on that, then you assess how much marks you have got, and then see which level you are in, and then try to answer those questions: level 1 questions, level 2 questions, level 3 questions. So that is the way that we'll have to move forward. Now, there are multiple blogs that give you the topics that are asked in quantum reasoning. So if you have never tried them at all before, then go and check the videos on YouTube. RBI quant questions that were asked in the previous paper, RBI reasoning questions, SEBI, or similarly, you can search on YouTube. Go through those things, see if you are able to understand them, jot down those topics and practice. Maybe about 30% of the time you can dedicate initially to that, and closer to the prelims, you can increase the time for the prelim subjects.
Better is to make a balance rather than just leaving completely. You dedicatedly, you can divide your time for both the phases, the exclusive subjects, and then of course you will re-strategize your preparation. As you said, that if you're weak and you feel that, okay, I am studying agriculture, let's say, I have studied this thing, but I'm still lagging in quant. So take out time and give to the topics of the quants that you feel you're not comfortable with. That would be the right strategy for a beginner to start. Right. So I think we have discussed about the sources and the practice, everything of phase 1, right? This covers a lot of things for multiple examinations. Anything apart from the practice, right coverage and previous year analysis, anything else you would like to add on for phase 1?
Phase 1, there's nothing more.
Just you do, it seems nothing more, but when you start doing all these things, you realize it takes time. So because students have this thing in mind, let me just, is this it? Shall I go for more things? No, restrict and cover these things well.
Oh, that's one, when you're talking about the mindset that you have, You always have. When I was preparing first for civils, the first time I was like, oh, I have to know that material. Someone is reading that material, so let me finish that. That becomes you generate a FOMO that okay, I might lose marks because of not reading that material. So that's you'd have to trust on your strategy and try it out. Okay. That's one of the reasons why I say that give multiple exams, because you get to try out the strategies over there. If it's not working out, it's not working out. You change it, go for the next exam.
But that is also a good point. You cannot stick to your strategy. Ki, nahi, I will make this strategy work.
Oh.
Rather be open-minded and like take the things that you feel are not right and change them.
Right.
So, Vignesh, as you mentioned about UPSC preparation, you have even appeared in interview of Forest Services and appeared in mains. So, that preparation, the experience of that examination, did it help there here also in RBI?
With respect to the exam, if you're asking?
The examination, the preparation is that we will discuss that economics, let's say, current affairs, all those are common. They are required, but still that you feel that experience of that exam helped me here.
Yes, to be frank, this time in phase two of RBI, yes, indeed. That's undeniable that descriptive papers were 400 and 600 marks, and even without UPSC experience, I would have felt difficult to write that paper. So going as I was also working, I didn't have all the time to prepare for a lot of different topics, but the topics that got reflected in the paper were familiar to me. And I at least had 250 to 300 words that I had prepared for civil services that I could write down in that in the descriptive paper of RBI. So it did have there was an advantage, definitely.
But one thing here that it skipped my mind that this time when you appeared in RBI, you were working actually. So you had to manage your time that way also. You were not full time like dedicatedly preparing. You had the preparation, but still during the complete exam you were working, right? You joined in February, as you said.
February, yes.
So how did you manage then your the working time and your prep time?
I'm not gonna glorify it or anything, but really I did not have the time. Maybe I gave about a few hours a day, but it was not what do you call a continuous effort. I could not give that because I had to go to office, come back. Maybe there was training in office also. I had to learn that aspect, those aspects also. I could not give up on that for the exam. And so I used to come back, try to keep abreast of what's going on. And and at the last 1 week or 2 weeks, I try to give more time for the exam prep. So I had to do it efficiently. This time I did not go through the EduTap material completely. I was going through the videos in 2x when I was moving, when I was in transit, or whenever I had the time. I was just watching those in 2x to familiarize myself with the current affairs or current affairs updates that are going on. EduTap, the question and answer videos, revision videos that happens at there. So that was that. Test series were definitely I was trying to give them. And this is how I went with my prep. And Bazooka, as I was referring, that was just 250. So I used to go take a few hours and revise that.
So actually, I asked this question for the students who are working. So they can also get this because they have time. You had less time because you were working. We say if you start for next year's exam of RBI, of NABARD, and if you're working, you have to strategize your work, right? You'll have to take out time. You'll have to actually find time rather than taking out, right? So, but it can be done, right? It's not so that you cannot clear the examination while you are working. It's just the preparation that matters.
Right. It's a consistency, I'd say. You might not feel like working practicing or giving test series on a particular day, but then just take out a few, maybe half an hour to just do that. Then that would help out.
Right. This is for working candidates, and anyhow, Vignesh has told you about the strategy completely for all the examinations phase one. If you are non-working, then you should utilize your time in an, I would say, an efficient manner rather than wasting that I have a lot of time and you read a lot of things. Rather than that, do the required things. So, Vignesh, let's talk about your phase two preparation. Sources, you said that you had the course of EduTap, right?
Right.
Like FM, static. Did you cover it from the course itself?
So I had the entire course that I had subscribed to, but I had the time only to look into the FM courses, FM video courses. And after a particular point of time, I didn't have the time for going through the video. So I just downloaded the documents, and I was going through the conceptual stuff that I did not know about. So since I had already prepared for FM and as well as for SEBI also, I prepared and kept. So I was familiar with with about 50 to 60% of the topics, but I had to revise them and go through the topics that I was not comfortable with.
And current affairs do not hold much weightage in FM. So,
Right.
As you said, newspaper reading, current affairs preparation, that will help in FM. Or anything extra you would suggest for FM current affairs?
See, FM, the objective part may not reflect the current affairs. That's more conceptual. So practicing a lot of test series and test mock questions, as well as learning the fundamentals properly, that would help. But going to the descriptive part, they do ask questions from the current affairs also. I believe Finance Commission, 15 Finance Commission's recommendations and all that was asked in the paper. So for that, we'll have to be abreast of that. So what I did was to just go through the Vision 365 that I usually read for civils. I'd gone through that, and whatever the economic current affairs were there in that I'd gone through that before, prior to the exam, maybe a week prior to the exam, I was trying to read that. And I had this perception that RBI may not go in for the highly specific questions and too analytical or questions. So they might be having some broad descriptive questions, and that's what got reflected in the paper also. So with respect to that, that's how I was preparing my descriptive content also. So initially it's at 15 and 10 marks. So they will have to write a lot of content for that. I try to remember larger content, say Finance Commission, what are the recommendations and why did it come about? What are the fodder content that you can insert? So that is what I prepared.
So fodder, yes, of course, for answer writing, because objective descriptive paper, the content is same. But you have to understand that this part I will use in descriptive and this is not required for descriptive. That you have to do. Again, I think that will come through practice. If you first have your knowledge base and then keep on practicing. Right. And did you practice answer writing beforehand?
Descriptive, no, I had not practiced. That was one of the stress points that I was having while going to the exam. It was very difficult to write. It was 3 descriptive papers continuously, right, one after the other, and you had to write 400, 600. And looking at the screen and typing them out, this was the first time typing out such a long paper. English descriptive, yes, we do type out in other exams, but this had 400 and 600 word questions, and you'll have to think of the content, and you didn't have the content for that 600 words and try to figure out what to put in that's relatable to the question. And so yes, it was quite stressful even in the exam hall. So practice would have helped a lot, but not have the time for that to develop the content as well as to practice for the exam. But I was, to be honest, I was out of my civil services main just about a few months back. So with respect to descriptive, generating the content in my mind, that was a little comfortable, but typing it out, it was difficult.
So again, here also practice will come. As you said, the content should be there because you cannot sit and think of the content at that moment. It should be ready somewhere, like the networking should be there in your mind that it comes up, and then typing. So both these things can be developed if you're practicing. Have the knowledge and then keyboard typing. So did you adhere to the word limit 400? 400, too much words for 10 marks, right, and 600 for 15. Could you fulfill the word limit?
Not in every question. Some of the questions where I had a lot of content, I did strive to go to about 550 out of 600, 350 out of 400 stuff. And in some of the questions, I did not have that. So about 4 out of 400, I just managed to cross 50 to 60%, 250, 200 to 250 words. So it's an understanding that, yeah, if I have prepared, I have confidence in my prep. So the people in my competition would be a little above and below. So that's how it would be. So a similar position would be reflected for them also. So maybe I know this question, they might not know a particular, I might not know this question, they might not know some other question. So it would kind of even out as a confidence that I had. Probably it worked out.
That is what competition is about, right? You Of course, but the point is that you should have confidence in yourself. And that will come through good knowledge, good practice. If you are confident, okay, yes, I have prepared well, I'm going to give my best. That confidence comes. Um, FM, we have discussed a lot of things, right? Sources, you said that static majorly, current affairs will also help in the descriptive.
Right.
Because this year, from this year, they have started descriptive also. So for ESI, tell your sources, please. Current affairs would be same as you said.
Yes, current affairs would be the same. I was referring to EduTap ESI, the videos that you are posting with respect to the revision and test series. So, the bazooka also, the GK and ESI current affairs kind of have an overlap. So that also helps you. But other than that, for the fundamentals, I'd earlier on read, I usually stick to the Sridham economy notes. Economy notes that I refer to for civil services, that's pretty much applicable for across other exams also. So that gives you the strong fundamentals. That is one, and it's easier to revise before the exams. That is one, and second is there is a set of 500 to 550 questions, which is oriented towards civil services, but it gives you clarity on the fundamentals, which is released by Vivek Singh Economy. I suppose he works for I don't remember, but yeah, there's a Telegram channel. So he releases 550 questions prior to the civil services prelims. So that even if the previous year
based on economy,
and right, it's fully
okay,
completely based on economy. It's segregated topic wise, and it tests you on the fundamentals or different aspects of the fundamentals. So if you take GDP, there could be really different questions that could be asked that can make you put up a huge challenge to you. So all those questions are asked, and by the end of 10 questions on GDP, you would have a clarity that, okay, these are the different aspects to that particular topic.
So like, although the orientation you said is of the UPSC, they release it for UPSC, but right, of course it can help you in the topics, right? Definitely. In the understanding, right? And here also the practice is, as we discussed about the descriptive answer writing, current affairs, yes, static is less here in ESI. Right. So did you prepare specifically for like ESI current affairs, keeping in mind the requirement?
For descriptive, as I earlier said, I was referring to the Vision 365. So that gives a lot of fodder content. And so you need, when you answer a question on current affairs, you also need to give the static part of it. So if I'm referring to, say, monetary policy committee and stuff, and there was a change, there was a question about whether to change the inflation target. So if that comes out as a question, you need to give the history of how the inflation target came about. So you need to know that base content and then go into the controversy or the issue that is at that point of time, and then say, or give you our analysis and give a way forward for it. So this is the structure, and for this, you have to generate the fodder content for different topics. So I was referring to Vision 365 for that. And my mains prep obviously helped this time on. And for some of the finance topics and some of the social issue topics that I might not know about, I went through the EduTap descriptive content. So if there were topics, I did not have the time to go through each one in detail. So I was looking at the topics. If there were some topics I was not familiar with, I should just download that and read the content.
So being selective will also help. And wide knowledge, of course, you have to have the syllabus knowledge you have to
have a good judgment on what might be relatable to, say, if I take my civil services current affairs, that would again be vast. And not all would be relevant for this exam. So have to be selective on that, on how you are reading that.
And as you said, that read that, be selective there also, that this is more important. And of course, some specific things for this exam also you have to cover. Let's say the data, the figures, they have this tendency of asking the numbers and all percentages. So that are not required for UPSC, but they will ask. So that needs to be prepared separately.
That's one of the important points. I think I missed that out. But when you read budget or economic survey, for civils, that's a different aspect of it. But for the regulatory body exams, for prelims or be it for mains, you need to know the data in specific. Even the reports that are generated by the different ministries, we'll have to go through that. So I've gone through the budget economic survey in terms of question and answers. So that helps me out remember the data. So I used to revise that once or twice before the exam. Also, maybe just look at it once because numbers might forget. So I used to try and remember the numbers of important, the zone of that numbers. Maybe 19,500 crore was allocated to a particular scheme. Say 19,000, it's related to animal husbandry or something like that. So try to remember it that. Yeah. So out of the 4 options, you know that, okay, this is not the case. Even if you do not know the particular topic that they've asked on, you know maybe 2 of the options, and then it helps you out to eliminate those things.
Elimination actually works. It works, but again, for elimination, if you haven't studied, like let's say thoroughly, then you'll end up always out of the 5 options, you'll be able to eliminate 2. You'll be left again with 3, or at least 2, very near, and you'll be like, this started. So for that, like this should be prepared. Chalo, let's see. Students will, I think, get to know that for phase 1 especially. Vignesh, when you came out of like phase 2 examination, RBI, did you think at that time, okay, I'll be selected, or let me just start for my interview preparation? Like, I want to know what was your mindset at that time?
Phase 2, when I was out right out of the phase 2, I was not at all. I just needed to get some sleep. So I was like, this was too it was really too exhaustive. I never given even civil services means is not that, it was not that exhaustive. It's continuously writing that long paper. So after a while, then as I was assessing, I did have the confidence that it might go through. I mean, clear means, but how much marks, that might be an issue. By how much marks do I clear it? So I will have to do well in the interview also. So I was keeping, I just continued my preparation with for the interview after that.
So, see, this has been a long conversation. I have taken a lot of your time. You have discussed like very, very important things with us, right? For like phase 1, phase 2 preparation, that the convergence of different examinations. So my last phase of my last question would be the preparation of interview tips. Although they are required for after you clear phase 1, phase 2, then only you think about the preparation of phase 2. But still, because as you said, students look at the topper's video and then they frame their strategy. So that way, some tips for the preparation of interview.
When it comes to interviews, I figured out my first interview in forest services did not go well at all, because I prepared it only for the interview sake of it. I was not into the process for forest. So when I went that kind of reflected in my answers. So it did not go well. So what change I made with respect to NABARD, PFRDA, and for RBI was to integrate it, as I had initially said. While reading the topic, I said, can this be asked in the interview? Or so if it's asked in the interview, how would I handle it? So that makes you, to say that, it makes you feel that you have to understand the fundamentals strongly, right? So the worst can be that you clear phase 1, phase 2, and they just ask you for the sake of it or 2 fundamental questions, and then you don't answer that. That will break your confidence in the interview. And post that, it'll be very difficult to answer the rest of the questions. So you strengthen your fundamentals in such a way that when it's asked by someone, you explain it in a very simple, crisp way. So you practice that just in the mind while you're preparing. Just think about telling it to someone. That would help. That's a prep that you might want to do it simultaneously. But going towards the interview, you'll have to strengthen your resume, your biodata, whatever is there in that, starting from your educational background, your place of your native place, and all that, your work experience if you have, all that stuff. And post that, whatever is in the current affairs, you will have to have an analytical perspective on it. You might not have to go into the depth, but have an understanding of the issue and have a view on it. So one more thing that helped me out in the interview, and that is what would be more beneficial, I believe, for all the aspirants would be, especially even for those who have gap years, is to having done something during those periods. So you have cleared, so I cleared my education in 2017, graduated in 2017. So now I have 4 years. In between, I had two gap years, right? 2018 to 2020 was gap year for me. But that was overshadowed by my current work experience and a couple of courses that I did. So once the chairman's questions were done, the second member and the third member, both of them asked me about, one was my PFRDA experience and what does it do and all that stuff related to that. And second was something that I had written at the end of the biodata, which is the certificate courses that I had done with on economics in MIT MicroMasters. So they asked about that, and since that was a course provided by Abhijit Banerjee and Esther Duflo, so the conversation went into that. And the third member also continued. She asked me about their work and the randomized control trials. Do you know of it and all that stuff? So whatever I'd read about a few years back, that came into use. And I did learn from other aspirants that people who had not done anything, say masters in between, say they have 4 or 5 years work but still they have not done anything to say to show their interest towards the particular field. They were asked a lot of questions, a little bit critical questions on that. So why haven't they done that? So why do you have interest in the area and why haven't you done anything further on?
All in all, you have to be like prepared for your background yourself, like your profile should be ready. If you have not done anything, you should be able to, because we have seen students getting selected even with so many gap years and not even doing, let's say, courses. So that means that they were clear, they were confident on what they did and what they could not do. That you should be able to, like, convince first yourself that, okay, do not be worried. And secondly, as you said, if you have done something productive, especially in that field, or if you have gone through certificate courses or even masters, if you have done, that will be a good thing. And that will, then questions will be based on that.
Right, so definitely.
It will be based on your profile only. That
will drive the conversation.
Right.
And so, one more interview tip would be never to be afraid of the panel. So all these interviews that went in favor, when I came out of the interview hall, I was pretty confident that it did go well. If I do not get it, it will not be because of the interview. So you have a smile on your face and you indulge them in the conversation. And if you are firm on your answers, be polite but firm. So if you do not know something, just tell them that you do not know. There are many candidates who were cleared having said no to a lot of questions, but the way you say it and to what questions you say it, you cannot go and say that I don't know what is inflation, but some issue that has happened on inflation, and if you're not aware of the nitty-gritties of it, politely let them know that no, sir, I'm not aware of this particular aspect of it. So
one thing I would like to highlight, that this is a beautiful thing. I think I should I'll keep it for myself also. Like, as you said, that when you came out of interview, this should be the actually approach, that interview should be good. You should be confident that even if I don't get selected, it will be not because of interview. So that at least you know that I have to work more in my phase 1, phase 2. Okay, my interview went well. This is a very important thing. And for that, again, as you said, your background, your profile should be clear. Fundamentals, like basic things should be clear. Right. And did you read about RBI also? Like, I have heard students telling that they went through the RBI website a lot.
Yeah, definitely. So that's like a treasure trove of information for you. Without that, you would not know what's going on in RBI, and questions might revolve around that. So RBI's functions and workings, that's one document that you'll have to go through, not in detail, but every subtopics, just go through a few pages so you have an idea of what they do. And some of the fundamentals of the working of the departments are also explained in that. Some conceptual understanding also. That is one. Then the recent circulars, the notifications that they release. For instance, when we are going to the interview, MasterCard ban was issued by RBI, and cryptocurrency was in the news at that point of time. So any circulars or speeches of deputy governors, at that point of time, one of the deputy governors had spoken about how RBI is working on cryptocurrency.
That's right.
So few panels had asked other candidates on that, and the different portals available on RBI. That is one of the areas. And the RBI speeches, for at least I had gone through about up to 2020 December. So sorry, 2020 January. So about 1.5 years of speeches I've gone through, and jotted down those topics, and just made some kind of a schematic to remember them. So what are the points, and how the best part of RBI speeches is it's in the form of a speech. So how you would explain to someone is how they have written it down. So you just take that particular content. See, if a question is asked on this relevant topic, what you would have to say is written down that exclusively. So you just have to read that and then go and tell it out there.
this is, as you said, it's a treasure of information. You should go through the things, and the things what you should go through on the website have also been told. Now
Any recent updates like the monetary policy that is being announced when we are going for the interviews just a couple of days before, it was one day before my interview it was released. So that should also be there. Any updates along those lines on the RBI website that should be focused on. And governors talks, governors speeches.
Now, to the students, to the viewers of this video, I would like to say that at this point you might feel a lot of things are there to study, right? But please understand that once you are through with the phase 1, phase 2, then you have that motivation also, and then you can cover those things. These are not, although through the preparation current affairs will cover RBI things, but the specific things are more relevant for interview, as you said. Like I would say the filtering of RBI website. This also have to, that you can do, like you have that time after phase 2. So that was, I would say, a very, very insightful interview. The talk that we had, very fruitful session for the aspirants of this examination and the other examination also, right? And as earlier I have spoken with you, Vignesh, we will try to come up with a session or strategy session for PFRD also with you. Okay, so you take out time for that also.
Definitely.
Thank you so much for coming today and sharing the wonderful tips with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And that is it. Wishing you all the very best for your career ahead. Whatever, like you are in RBI, you will shine bright here. You do really well in your career ahead.
Thank you. And thanks to the EduTap team also, because I remember when the pattern changed, even for RBI, once the pattern changed, you have gone through, even for SEBI also. You revise the entire syllabus and according to the change in the pattern, immediately work on that and release the videos as per the aspirants' needs. So that's what has given me the confidence that I stick to, okay, EduTap be a trustworthy source for me to look into, and that would help me in the exam.
And
please keep up the great work.
Thank you, and this will give us more motivation now that yes, because when we hear from toppers, the selected candidates like you, then of course we work like more hard. Kyun aur karna hai, let's say. Okay, thank you so much and bye bye.
Thank you.